The bottom of this hour, but let's get it going and rolling. Good morning, New Hampshire. Good morning up into Maine. Got a brand new signal for you up into Maine and the seacoast of New Hampshire, 98.7 FM with the HD digital clarity stuff on top of our AM and FM network and Seacoast, Lakes region, Manchester, Concord. We have you blanketed. We have you covered here in New Hampshire, New England, and worldwide. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of an H. Speaking of the Pulse of an H, you can watch now 9 to 10, the first hour. You can watch on YouTube. Our own channel now is growing, YouTube, the Pulse of an H. Everything with us, by the way. Everything. As people talk about, I'm not being flip here, but we will have a doctor coming up at 10 o'clock talking more about amnesia and some of the cognitive stuff happening to Americans. Probably more related to the diet than anything else. We make it easy for you here. No reason to forget the Pulse of an H. No PIN, no passwords. Everything's the Pulse of an H. Our question up on X this morning at the Pulse of an H, our poll question daily up on X is, do you think we'll see fewer Canadians, tourists here this summer in New Hampshire and Maine on the coast? And do you think we'll see fewer Canadians over the tariff stuff you just heard Jared talking about? I guess more deals are expected to be announced. Letters due tomorrow. That's a poll question up on our X. J-Dog, do we, I don't know if sure you have results from yesterday. If you do, go ahead. Otherwise, we got a great guest. Yeah. After the last 2 or 3 days of back and forth military uh, attacks, the drone attacks being turned up, I'm not surprised. All right. By the way, before we bring in Anna Brown, Citizens Count with an update on the state budget, Hanover and Lebanon, New Hampshire, they were included recently. It's kind of this confusing in a federal list of sanctuary cities. This is interesting because you've heard this about Hanover and the Upper Valley for a while. And Governor Kelly Ayotte was just a few weeks ago, I think it was like May 22nd, signed into law an anti-sanctuary city law, actually two measures. Anna Brown may clarify this, that basically calls for local law enforcement to cooperate with federal, for example, immigration enforcement or ICE officials on any criminality of any illegal migrants, but also just the policy of sanctuary cities. But it's a little bit gray. It's a little bit gray in terms of a community. If they want to have policies that are more sanctuary city oriented, are they in violation of that state law? But this is an interesting story out this morning. Anna Brown, Citizens Count, citizenscount.org, nonpartisan, bipartisan site and home for all things local, legislative, political, civic activity, engagement. Good morning, Anna. Right. Or well, they push it a little bit. I think Hanover, if you read it, they what they passed in May was basically, I think, something in favor of a petition. It was a petition, so I don't know how much enforcement teeth it has, but preventing local police from treating undocumented um, immigration as a criminal matter. So that's a gray area because what does that really mean? In other words, if they have in Hanover an illegal migrant living there who goes out and robs the bank, is that individual, would be charged in New Hampshire, I imagine, and probably would be cooperated with other local law enforcement. I'm not sure, but I don't know what that means. Like treating undocumented immigration, I guess, solely as a criminal matter. In other words, you probably can't just arrest someone in Hanover because they're an illegal migrant. However, if they broke the law and hurt someone or broke into a bank, I would think that would be a different matter, but maybe not. I don't know. Yeah. They're not looking for it. Yeah. Yeah. We'll see if Governor no, but but people didn't think Martha's Vineyard was either or Nantucket, and you never know. Anna Brown, we'll see if Governor Kelly, I don't know if she's gonna pick up the phone and call I don't know if it would be the town manager or whoever in Hanover and say, "What's going on up there?" I don't know, but we'll see. Let's talk about the budget because we haven't really talked about it in a few days, and we are getting to the crunch time. Hmm, interesting. All right, and anything to look for in particular this week or next? Interesting. All right, I appreciate it. Anna Brown, Citizens Count, citizenscount.org. Thank you, Anna. Speaking of like budgets and taxes, I there was one anecdote relatives of mine in Maine shared with me over the weekend, and just a casual call, it was like a by the way call. I mean, part of the call, and I was overhearing, and I just asked sister-in-law talking with my smarter, prettier, better half, but how wacko is the state of Maine when it comes to taxation? I mean, how crazy is the state of Maine? Listen to this. For those of you, and I'm sure there's some in the audience that have heard of like Shin Pond or Patton, Maine. And if you're not a geography expert on the state of Maine, about the same population as New Hampshire, but physically Maine is huge, as you know. And you can go from here. We think of like Kittery, York, Wells, and you go up into Kennebunk and Kennebunkport or Portland and then Auburn. But if you get up to Augusta and then Waterville and you're going up 95 and eventually get to Bangor Brewer and you think you're there and you're not. My first television job was up in Maine. I remember covering the state high school basketball championships in Orono, home of University of Maine, Orono. And I remember saying to one of the coaches, and they'd get 8 or 10,000 people at the game, high school basketball. I mean, no offense, what else is there to do? I said, "Where are you from?" And he goes, I go, "You around here?" And he goes, "No, we're 3 or 4 hours north of here." I go, "Where'd you come from?" I don't know if it was like Presque Isle or something. Or Holt. I mean, Maine's big. But in Patton, Maine, which is like almost a couple hours or an hour and a half north of Bangor Brewer, it's just a small area. There's no real township. There are no schools. It's just people love the, ATV, recreation, camping, be out in the woods. I mean, beautiful area to be up there. You can see Mount Katahdin. So this is like northern Maine. Listen to what the bozos in the liberal spending nut jobs in Augusta have done to northern Maine. They're screwing the locals over on the weight of the ATV to tax them more. So they've adjusted the weight of an ATV, like a all-terrain vehicle. But this is the best one. There's a lake up there, and for property owners, there's no town, no school, no services. So the state just doubled the property tax for those lake waterfront homes in Patton, Maine. Doubled it, like under 4,000 a year, which was a lot for some because these are generational families, part-time usage up there, to 8,000 in some cases a year. State property tax, all going to the state, like a state grab, not a town. Now, obviously, they should form a township or village so that property taxes should be set locally. But what a ripoff. State of Maine. Oh my goodness. And they have an income tax, and they have a sale tax, and they have huge property taxes. State of Maine. How's that working for you? Just curious. Just curious, Governor of Maine. How's that working up there for you Maine residents? Keep coughing up the money for the state. What a badly run state. Sorry, it's just true. Some commentary. Come back. We'll check in on the Seacoast of New Hampshire. Worcester, Preston, Xanthopoulos, APX, Seacoast Online. A little bit later on, John Decker, our own White House correspondent, next. I want to get from our next guest, an expert, reaction to the polling that shows Democrats as a party nationally are not gaining any ground on Republicans. I'll come back to that. Alicia Preston Xanthopoulos, APX, Seacoast Online. Good Tuesday morning. We're finally going to feel this week some real beach summer weather. I mean, by Wednesday and Thursday, we're in the mid to upper 80s. No, kind of like you. There's no in between, fast or slow. There's go or slow. Nothing in the middle. Do you want good? Not much. You want to talk budget? What do you catch in your eye? I want to ask you a few other things, but what's catching your eye? What are you writing about? Seacoast Online. What's going on? Hmm. Hmm. Right. You- Do you, what do you think in Washington? The big beautiful bill is it going to get through the Senate and back to the House? What do you think? But will the House be able to concur? Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. Is that a wind chime in the background? Oh, I thought it was a nice wind chime on Hampton Beach. I was more the ambiance. Okay, right. So one story that's not getting out at all, because on the illegal migration, and there's an article today about whether Hanover's pushing back on the state law of no sanctuary cities, police cooperating with federal officials if an illegal migrant breaks the law, all this gray area stuff. One thing that no one's talking about, it's amazing to me, and this is where I think the CNN poll Democrats are kind of missing something here. I'm not saying that there are individual cases of a student or someone who's picked up as an illegal migrant and people are saying, they weren't a threat to anyone. Why are they picking them up and her? I get local reaction. I mean, I understand it. I'm not saying I understand both sides of this, but no one's really talking about the fact that the southern border with Mexico, for the most part, is closed, like 99% closed. No one's even talking about it. No one goes down to do a story on it. No one interviews Governor Abbott. No one goes down like 60 Minutes to show how all the industries that were popping up over illegal migration on the border are closed. The cartels are trying to figure out how to keep making billions. But here's one that's interesting. You're going to start to hear, and you've heard of Governor Glenn Youngkin in Virginia, right? Listen to this. He just did a story the other day. And again, I haven't really seen this national news because it doesn't fit the narrative. In 1 year, just this past month, over a year ago, in 1 year in Virginia, the state of Virginia has seen fentanyl related overdose deaths decline by 44% in just 1 year. And the governor says it's because we've closed the border, less fentanyl flowing in. So 44% in Virginia. I'm wondering about all the other states in America and how many lives are going to be saved because we've cut down on the deadly flow of fentanyl. And yet no one can even make that a lead story on ABC or CBS or NBC. I mean, it's a pretty big story. No one's even talking about it. No, but I mean, you look at the cartels, those 2 leading cartels that John Delino was talking about on my show, the 2 multi gazillion dollar cartels that control the border, that fentanyl was their juice, that was their lifeline. That was all fentanyl, whether it was synthetically started in China or not, it was packaged and produced in Mexico coming across our border. We've shut down the border. Now we're seeing less fentanyl, and no one can stand up and say it's a good thing. Yep. Yeah. Hmm. Well, yeah. And a lot of them are paying they're paying the bills. All right, thank you, Alicia. APX Coast Online. We'll come back. Our own White House correspondent, John Decker, next. All right, President Trump putting out on social media that the tariffs policies are working, the economy is doing great. I guess some deadlines are due tomorrow at the White House from other countries. Give us your best deal offer. What's happening? We've had some ambiguity with that three judicial member court out of New York, appeals, you name it, and anything else out of the White House. Our own White House correspondent, John Decker. It's been a day or two. Good morning, John. Again, you see, I mean, obviously, markets are very tuned into, especially China and the US, because I think that's the big one. I guess, are we going to see sort of as we get more into June, less noise in and around the tariff stuff, or do you think it's going to be an ongoing story? Interesting, John. Ukraine, Russia, any hopes of talks out of Turkey? It seems that this is cooling off versus heating up in terms of any peace possibilities. Are you sensing that out of the White House? John, finally, because you've covered this White House, John Decker, and done an incredible job. Not just this administration, but this has been a fast moving reality since inauguration day. I think you'd agree with me. I've never seen anything like it. Do you sense maybe it's just because we're into the summer? It's beyond 100 days. We've seen some courts intervene in some stuff. Do you sense that eventually this rapid fire thing of 4 big things a day, are we gonna start to see, I don't mean to compare it to past White Houses, more of a normal presidential pace as things like Congress takes a recess, but I don't know what they're gonna do on the so-called big beautiful bill. The Supreme Court will eventually be in recess. We're gonna see a slowing down this summer of the can't keep up with every day, or do you think it's gonna continue to be rapid fire? Right. Does the White House feel that the president's gonna get some kind of a big bill, even if it's not as beautiful, through the Senate and back concurring with the House? Right, right, right. Thank you, John Decker, our own White House correspondent. Thank you, John. I'll take a moment before go to our next guest. I do think this is significant, and I haven't read into this poll I posted. Even CNN had a story on this poll coming out of the weekend that showed Democrats, despite concerns with the level or the tenacity of illegal migration or immigration pickup, um, the tariffs, some stuff, the university clashing, the anti-Semitism, despite all the noise, polling shows that Democrats nationally are not gaining ground in a couple key areas like strong leadership. And I've been saying this all along, and I'm going to say it again, and I'll probably say it till I'm tired of saying it. And I even have loved ones in this category who I won't say on the air. If you're not a Trump supporter, if you don't like the shaking up, if you don't like his personality, if you don't like his style and you just turned off, okay, there's probably nothing, and President Trump has said this to Congress, there's probably nothing he can do or achieve that will change how you feel. So I always like to speak to people in that category just because I think that's a broad spectrum. And I'm open to it. But let me point something out. I've said all along too. Being against Donald Trump, criticizing his style is not going to gain you any change in terms of what you want politically. Let me repeat that. Just bashing Donald Trump is not a formula for your own success. I got news for you. Keep doing it. It doesn't bother me. I'm sleeping fine at night. But if you want change, that's not how you get it. You get change by having the courage or the to put your name on a ballot or get involved and tell people what you would do. Why do you think Kamala Harris lost the election, both the Electoral College, all those battleground states, and the popular vote? And we knew that night, not weeks or months later. Why do you think Harris lost? Because she could not articulate any message other than, I don't like Donald Trump. Is that sinking in at all? And you still got Tim Walz. What a clown he is, the governor of Minnesota. What a bad pick. But she won't admit the fact that she didn't pick Shapiro of Pennsylvania, who would have been a formidable running mate. It might have won them one of those battleground states and made it closer because he's Jewish. And within the Democrat Party, there's this huge schism or divide with anti-Semitism flourishing, as we've seen in some recent terrorist attacks here, including Boulder, including Washington. And the Democrats won't stand up and praise and respond and talk about Israel in the Middle East, talk about October 7th, talk about Hamas as a terrorist organization, because you know what? They won't go near it because a lot of their own party are anti-Israel, anti-Semitic. Fact. Even if you talk about free Palestine, they won't talk about getting rid of Hamas, the governing political body and power in Gaza for Palestinians. That doesn't come up because they actually like Hamas. They won't admit it, but they do. Okay, so here's the deal. By the way, the people in Boulder, Colorado, all they were peacefully protesting. They weren't even protesting. All they were gathering about peacefully was to think and honor and pray for the hostages that Hamas still has. That's what they were doing till some nut job, scumbag, terrorist, illegal migrant from Egypt makes his own incendiary Molotov cocktails and thinks it would be fun to go burn 12 people. That's what happened in Boulder, Colorado. That's what happened in Boulder. Okay. Now, let me just go a step further. The polling for Democrats is tough because they don't have strong leadership and they've not been able to articulate a path that's all they can say is they don't like Donald Trump. They don't like Donald Trump, but they won't tell you what their position is on legal migration, illegal migration. Do they want to reopen the southern border? Do they want to fight some things in terms of our economy? What are their positions? They won't tell you because other than Donald Trump. Okay, so one crystal clear example, and I'm not saying it's the reason for this negative poll or bad poll for Democrats because they should be gaining ground going into the midterms. If you think all these issues are not popular, they should be gaining ground. And number one, you can't see who their leaders are because no one knows. They've had a month of talking about who knew what and why Joe Biden got lost in his own closet in the White House and people around him just propped him up for power. They've been talking about this. Jake Tapper's book. It's biggest example of elder abuse for power I've seen in my lifetime. So that's what they've been talking about. I don't know who the new leaders are of tomorrow for the Democrats, but the southern border is closed. Let me repeat that. The southern border with Mexico was closed within the first 100 days of a new administration after 4 years of the previous because they did not want it closed. It was wide open for illegal immigration business. You had human trafficking, rape, exploitation of people migrants coming here, thinking it was just we're going to walk in. Fentanyl, the cartels control, the two main cartels control the entire Mexican border, not the Mexican government. Billions and billions and billions off of fentanyl distribution into this country, into places like New Hampshire and Maine. Young people, number one cause of death last 4 years under the age of 40 was a drug overdose, and the border was wide open. And now today, the southern border is closed. 99% shut and closed, and there's no coverage on the national mainstream television news media, no coverage locally on it either. No one can agree who I saw because it doesn't fit the narrative. No one can say, wow. I mean, can you imagine World News Tonight with David Muir beginning this way tonight? Good evening. The southern border is closed. States like Virginia are seeing a dramatic reduction in fentanyl overdose and fentanyl-related deaths. The Trump administration has succeeded in an incredible way in months to close the southern border after the previous administration failed for 4 years. In other news tonight, tariff deals are expected tomorrow at the White House. You're not going to hear that newscast. You're not going to see that newscast. Do you know why? Because it makes the Trump administration look successful. Some commentary. 603-228-2080. So we come back. Brad Card out of Washington, top of the 10 o'clock. More. We'll also hear from our friends at Alpine Gold in the 10 o'clock hour. Mike Cody, New Hampshire Business Review. Dean Spiliota, Southern New Hampshire University. Hey, Google. Hey, Lex, play the Pulse of an H back in a few. You know, I just got some feedback from a couple of listeners who like my quick, spontaneous imitation of World News Tonight with David Muir and the newscast you won't see tonight. Let me just tell you the fact of media and one reason why you're seeing people change their political views or get their own information, even in things like healthcare. Let me tell you why. It's all a bunch of BS, and it shouldn't be. It should be news. And as a former television news director, I can tell you, forming newscast is totally subjective. I used to say to friends, and here's someone who did a career of media and never went to school specifically for that, although the political science and economics may not have hurt, and I had some fun at UVM, a little bit of post-grad stuff, and maybe the U.S. Army War College as a civilian national security seminar, but that's neither here nor there. There's no book when you form a national newscast. Trust me. There's no book at WMUR when they do a nightly newscast or a TV station in Maine or Iowa, South Carolina, or World News Tonight or CNN or Fox. There's no book that you turn to page 226 to decide what is the main story we lead with tonight. There's just news that happens each day. Some stories go viral, some don't, and a lot of stuff you never hear about. But let me tell you a newscast you're not going to hear tonight anywhere in America in terms of the mainstream legacy television news media. And you wonder why television news rating is dropping like a big bowling ball if you threw it off a cliff. So here's, without any prep, off the top of my head, we actually have Adam here with Alpine Gold to witness this, and he can tell you in a moment if I'm reading notes. Good evening, and welcome to CBS News Tonight. I'm Jack Heath, filling in for whoever. Tonight, the Trump administration has amazingly and successfully shut the southern border with Mexico. The cartels are struggling, trying to figure out how to recoup billions, and states like Virginia are seeing almost a 50% reduction in fentanyl-related overdose deaths. The Trump administration closed the southern border in months, something the previous administration failed to do in 4 years. In other news tonight, you're not going to see that newscast tonight because it would make the Trump administration look like they did something good. If we can't agree that closing the southern border is good, then I don't know. As I say on my show, sometimes I get some really beautiful oceanfront property for you in Columbus, Ohio, if you want to look at it, because you and I have nothing to really agree on. If you can't admit that closing the southern border is a good thing, then maybe you should move to another country where they don't have any walls, any borders. Go ahead. Free world. Go for it. Adam, thank you for indulging me. Did I read it? Was that a spontaneous headline?
That was spontaneous. You pulled that right out of your hat. That was very impressive.
Do you think we'll see that newscast tonight? Anywhere? CBS, ABC, NBC, MSNBC? Anyone going to lead, hey, the southern border is closed. We're seeing less fentanyl deaths. That's a good thing.
If they play your segment, they will.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
No, nobody's going to have it.
No, because it's a game. How are you?
No, things are good. Things are very busy. Summer's coming. We've got bright skies and green trees. Everything's good right now. Gold is up. Everything's just
gold's been up. Well, you know why? Look at all the inflation stuff. Look at the debt. People are wondering what can I touch and hold that's real. I mean, silver, gold. We're going to be live there. You got an official open house coming up in about a month. Well, a little less. No, about a month.
Yeah, about a month. We're going to have a grand opening at our new location, 1800 Elm Street. It's going to be on July 10th. All right, we're celebrating Independence Day. We're going to have a giveaway there where we're giving away a framed set. I'm sure you'll post a picture of it later. A framed set of gold backs. We're going to give it to somebody. We don't know who yet. It's going to be one of our members. But
tell us what gold backs are again. Someone asked me.
Gold backs are a 24 karat gold note. The idea behind a gold back is
like a little dollar bill, but it's gold backed.
That's right.
Literally gold backed,
Yeah.
like not gold paint, but gold laced or whatever.
Yeah, it's not the gold leaf. This is more like a gold foil note, and it's 1/1000th of an ounce of gold. The idea is you're not going to find anybody who's going to shave off 1/1000th of an ounce of gold. So we've manufactured 24 karat golden node that has a polymer on the front of it. So it holds it sturdy and rigid, and it's also very, very durable. And the idea is you can spin gold at about a $6 level. And then just this year, we came out with the half gold back. In Florida, we have the half gold back, and that's worth about $3.50.
You know, a lot of people don't know that in Florida, I mentioned this the other day on a post on my news pit talk on my show. AlpineGold, by the way, .com will tell you how, as a Pulse solicitor, you can get perks. But New Hampshire, the House has passed, and Florida passed, and Governor DeSantis signed and enacted gold, precious metal, gold and silver as legal tender. New Hampshire House did the same. What does that mean? It's interesting.
Legal tender, what that means is anyone who holds the document holds the value of that property. So a title is a legal tender, a deed is a legal tender, and if you have gold and silver, and whoever holds that gold and silver holds the value, therefore it's legal tender. And what Governor DeSantis has done, and New Hampshire is on track to do so as well, is they've passed a legal tender act so that Florida can buy, sell, trade, transact in legal tender, invest in gold and silver, and so forth.
Now, if I'm in Florida and I have a gold coin and I want to go out and buy, I'm just saying a $3,500 appliance, is that legal tender in Florida?
It's legal tender in Florida, yeah.
That gold coin.
That's right.
As much as a credit card, Visa, check, cash, that gold coin.
It is. It's voluntary, just like a store can choose whether or not they're accepting
like credit card, or some stores say cash only because the credit card fees are too much.
Yep, exactly.
Interesting.
So it's voluntary, but yes, you can absolutely do that.
Now, if people want to buy some silver and gold to hedge the inflation and the paper stuff, you can go to alpinegold.com, and at checkout, Pulse, just the word Pulse at checkout, alpinegold.com, Pulse at checkout, get some free shipping if they want some silver, I guess you'd call them eagles, sent to them?
Yeah, you got gold eagles, gold buffaloes. We have a litany of things on the website. So you can buy gold bags, you can buy coins, you can buy wallets, all kinds of things. It's the Amazon for gold and silver.
And if you want to open an account, you can keep it in, but if you want it shipped to you, just Pulse, alpinegold.com, Pulse, and shipping's free. And I went on a few weeks ago and did sign up as a member and all that, and I love how easy the fields are on your site. It's just buy in one box, which is real easy. It means buy, or join. That's it. You can choose what you want to do, but the joining field was easy as well.
Yeah, joining, we keep it just straightforward. We have to have some identifying information for the person we're sending gold to, right? We got to be able to, have your address and your name, and it has to be accurate because we are about fraud prevention and protecting our members. But otherwise, we don't share any data. We don't collect any data. We only have the data that's required to send you gold and silver. Everything else, we don't sell any data or anything like that. So it's very, very simple.
And you can open an account with me, refer me as Jack Heath, because I believe in this. I think it's good stuff. First time I've done it. I think your folks are wonderful, great company, well thought of in other states. Started all in Utah. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, and we appreciate you and all the effort that you put towards Sound Money as well. So what you're saying about you can join through Jack Heath, that's exactly right. We support you. We support the show. We support Sound Money. So there's definitely
awesome
accolades in there.
All right, stick around. Talk about the gold backs. We're going to go to the top of the hour, some Fox News. Brad Card will tell us what's coming up on Contact Politics later today. A brand new edition available, our Pulse Podcast Network. Hey, Alexa, Google, play the Pulse of an H. Jack Heath. J-Dog on the boards. Back in a moment.